Hi, it's Summer, and today I have 15 winter and holiday book recommendations for you. I really love to read seasonally, so if you also like that, these are a bunch of recommendations that are perfect for the vibes of this time of year. My first book on this list is A Merry Little Meet Cute by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone. I read this one last year and I still think about it all the time. That honestly goes for a lot of the books on this list. This one follows Bee, who is a plus-size adult film star, and Nolan Shaw, who is an ex-boy band member. To try and make a comeback, he's going to be starring in a closed-door, family-friendly holiday special. Like, imagine a Hallmark Channel original movie or something. He's going to be the main love interest in it. One of the people that's producing the film really needs a female love interest, and so they quickly hire Brie for it. But since it's a family-friendly movie, she has to really keep it on the DL what her actual job is. But what she doesn't know is that Nolan, who is her co-star and also her longtime crush, she doesn't know that he's actually a subscriber to her closed door account, which is basically like an OnlyFans. There's a lot of tension between them, and this book is so steamy. I was blushing so hard reading this book. So if you like spice in your books, I highly recommend this one. Also, if I'm remembering right, I think that both of the main characters are bisexual, and I love that so much. This book is just a fun, sexy time, and I think the sequel came out not too long ago, so that's gonna be high up on my winter TBR. After that, I have Love Light Farms by B.K. Borison. This is one of my favorite romance novels ever, and it just happens to be a Christmas book. I'm actually currently rereading this one and it's making me so happy. This is a friends to lovers story following Stella and Luca. They've been best friends for I think close to a decade at this point. Stella owns a Christmas tree farm called Love Light Farms. She's feeling really stressed right now because the farm is not doing very well financially, and also there's a lot of things going wrong on the farm right now for some reason. Like someone might be sabotaging her potentially. So to try and save Love Light Farms and to earn a little bit more money and attention brought to it, she enters this social media contest where this influencer is going to travel to Love Light Farms, do a spotlight on it, review it, share it on her social media, bring a lot of people to it, but also I think that there's a cash prize at the end of it if she wins. So she applies to the contest, but to kind of fluff up her resume, she decides to say that she owns Love Light Farms with her boyfriend, which she doesn't have. So when she gets accepted to the contest, she starts to panic to try to figure out what she's gonna do about the boyfriend situation. So she asks her best friend Luca to be her fake boyfriend. This one is set in a small town, so it has all of those perfect small town cozy vibes. There's found family, there's lots of cats and Christmas vibes. There's really cute banter between characters that have just known each other for a long time, and you can feel that depth in their relationship. And I love this book so much. I would say that if you have to pick one book from this list, you should read this one. Next, I have The Winter People by Jennifer McMahon. This one is a thriller/horror book set in the winter. This book will freak you out and just make you feel cold, which is exactly what I want from a winter thriller. The synopsis for this one says, West Hall, Vermont has always been a town of strange disappearances and old legends. The most mysterious is that of Sarah Harrison Shea, who in 1908 was found dead in the field behind her house just months after the tragic death of her daughter. Now in present day, 19-year-old Ruthie lives in Sarah's farmhouse with her mother, Alice, and her younger sister. Alice has always insisted that they live off-grid, a decision that has weighty consequences when Ruthie wakes up one morning to find that Alice has vanished. So this is multiple timelines, multiple POVs. There's a secret diary hidden beneath the floorboards of the house. There might be monsters in the woods. I don't want to say too much about this one because I think it's more fun to go in without knowing a whole lot, but I will show my aesthetic reel that I made for this book on the screen so you can kind of see what the vibes of the book are. This book is just so creepy and I think about it all the time. Next is one of my all-time favorite books, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. The back of this one says, a curmudgeonly professor journeys to a small town in the far north to study fairy folklore. This is kind of like an alternate history. This is historical fiction, and in this world, fairies are proven to be real. They're still kind of mysterious. We don't really know a whole lot about them. So there are scientists like Emily Wilde who their whole entire job and career is to study fairies. Emily has been working on, and I think is pretty close to finishing, an Encyclopedia of Fairies. And to complete the last few entries of this encyclopedia, she has to journey to this really small town to investigate the kind of fae and fairies that are there. This takes place during the winter, and the vibes are so good. This book definitely makes you feel cold, but also cozy when they're inside their cabin that they're staying at. I loved all of the people that live in this small town and everyone's character development throughout the book. There's also another character named Wendell who is Emily's colleague, and he's kind of mysterious and she's kind of trying to figure him out. He's sunshine, she's grumpy, the best combination. If you like cozy fantasy, you absolutely have to pick this one up. After that is another all-time favorite book, and that is A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking by T. Kingfisher. This one is another cozy fantasy story, and I think it would also be considered middle grade because the main character is pretty young. I think she's maybe 14 or something. She's an orphan living with her aunt and uncle, and she works in their bakery. This is kind of like a medieval fantasy setting, and some people in this world have magic, but it's small magic. And a lot of the time it's like oddly specific. Like they can't really do a whole lot with it sometimes. So the main character has magic, but she only has the ability to manipulate dough, like bread dough, cookie dough. So it's very convenient that she works in a bakery. She can stop things from burning in the oven. If she's over kneaded some bread, she can make it soft again. She makes the gingerbread cookies dance. And there's a bucket of angry sourdough starter in the basement. That is like one of my favorite characters of this entire book. One day when she's opening up the bakery though, there's a body that she finds, and she kind of at first gets blamed for the murder. That's kind of just scratching the surface of this book though. There's a lot more going on, and throughout her adventure in this book, she makes a friend. There's just a really great message throughout this book as well. And now that I'm thinking about it, even though I just said that this is middle grade, I wouldn't suggest this for like kids to read. It has a little bit more grit to it than a normal middle grade. I really liked that though because I felt like it gave the book more stakes and also just kind of made it a little bit more realistic. T. Kingfisher is also just like a really great author. I really enjoy their writing style. This is a book that made me laugh, that made me cringe in disgust, that made me cry. It's so, so good, and I highly recommend it. I added it to this list even though it's not set during the winter or around the holidays, but more because it just feels cozy with like the bakery kind of stuff that's happening. I just feel like cozy fantasy is perfect for this time of year. Next I have Kiss Her Once for Me by Alison Cochrane. This one is a fake dating second chance romance. It's sapphic and set during Christmas. There's lots of fun Christmas activities. I remember while I was reading this, I was just like, this main character is me. Like I related to her so much. There's also Taylor Swift references in this one. The plot is that last Christmas, the main character had this holiday romance with this woman named Jack, but it didn't last very long. And I'm trying to remember what the main character's name is. Ellie. Ellie has kind of had a hard time getting past it. She's an illustrator, and so she has like an online webcomic that she has shared this experience with her followers. Hi, this is Editing Summer. I don't know why, but my camera did not record me talking about the rest of the synopsis for this book. And it's a really fun synopsis, so I wanted to make sure that it was in the video. So it's a year later after this Christmas romance. She's currently working in a coffee shop, and the landlord of the coffee shop comes in and proposes a fake marriage scenario so that he can have access to a bunch of money that was left to him in a will from a family member. And she's in desperate need for money right now, so she's gonna get a portion of that. In order to get his inheritance though, he has to like be married or something like that. So they're going to be in a fake relationship and get married, and to convince his family that it's real, she's going to go with him to spend a Christmas with his family. When they get to his family's house, she quickly realizes that Jack, the girl from last year, is actually this guy's sister. So there's all of this tension, and they have to figure out how they're supposed to act around each other. I love that it's forced proximity, like they have to just be around each other this whole time. This book has all of the Christmas vibes. They do so many Christmas activities like caroling, baking. I think they decorate the tree. There's lots of snow and tension between the characters. This one is just so much fun, and if you're looking for a female-female holiday romance, this is the one for you. Next up, I have Green Glass House by Kate Milford, and it's illustrated by Jamie Zollers. This is a middle grade book set during Christmas. The main character Milo is adopted, and he lives with his parents in this smuggler's inn. This time of year over Christmas is their slowest time of the year, so he's expecting just to be able to relax and hang out, but randomly they get all of these really strange people coming to stay at the inn. So he's getting to know all of these people, their weird backstories, and you also get to see his relationship with a friend as they play this game of make-believe and explore the inn and its secrets. This one is so cute and cozy and sweet and heartwarming, and the setting of Green Glass House is perfect for this time of year. Next up, I have Holiday Romance by Catherine Walsh. This one says, Molly and Andrew are just trying to get home to Ireland for the holidays when a freak snowstorm grounds their flight. So Molly and Andrew have known each other for a really long time, I think close to a decade, but they only know each other pretty much from catching the same flight to Ireland every Christmas. They were acquaintances when they ran into each other on the first flight, and then I think they randomly get seated together on the second flight, and then every flight after that they just decide that they're gonna be travel buddies. Andrew loves Christmas, and he's really bummed out when their flight gets canceled because he wants to be home for the holidays. So Molly decides that she's gonna do anything possible to get him home for the holidays. So this is a lot of like airports and traveling and being spontaneous, but it also has that cozy home for the holidays kind of feeling as well. So I guess this one would also be considered friends to lovers, and it's so cute. It's one of my all-time favorite Christmas books. These next two books were actually on my fall recommendations list, but I'm going to just carry them over to this one because they're too good not to, and they really fit perfectly for this time of year as well. So first up, I have my favorite book, The Stardust Sea by Erin Morgenstern. You're probably sick of hearing me talk about this, but I love it so much. I had to recommend it for the winter. I'm pretty sure that it does take place during the winter. I think there's like a New Year's Eve party that Zachary goes to, so it is fitting for this time of year. It's not a holiday book though. The back of this says, "We are all stardust and stories." When Zachary Rollins stumbles across a mysterious book containing details from his own life among its pages, it leads him on a quest unlike any other. This one is a book about books. It's queer. It's about a subterranean library. There's cats, and there's themes of time and fate. There's imagery of bees and keys and swords. The writing is absolutely beautiful. I would maybe even consider this cozy fantasy as well. It's also dark academia. I know this book isn't for everyone, but I absolutely love it, and I think that it's really great to pick up during this time of year. The next book that I'm carrying over from the fall TBR video is The God of Endings by Jacqueline Holland. This one is like cozy found family vampires. And I've also heard people pitch this as Miss Honey from Matilda if she was a vampire. The current day setting of this story is in the 80s. It follows one immortal woman, Colette, as a lonely artist who heads an elite fine arts school for children in upstate New York. So we get the current day perspective where strange things are kind of starting to happen to her, but we also get a perspective starting in the early 1800s, I think. You get to see the brief bit of her life before she became a vampire and then afterwards, and you just get to see her whole entire life up until the current day perspective. It's sad, but it's also hopeful. It's also kind of creepy. Current day, you're also following her as she has this special connection with a young boy in her art class, and she kind of gets wrapped up in his family and stuff a little bit. If you like House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson, The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer, or The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by B.E. Schwab, you will love this book because it's basically those three books wrapped into one. Also, I'm recommending this book because it's set during the winter, I'm pretty sure. There are some scenes that are set outside, I think in the snow and stuff, and it's also set over some holidays, even though those aren't a huge part of the plot, they are mentioned. Next, I have a graphic novel. This is Feelings, A Story in Seasons by Manjit Thop. The illustrations in this book are some of my absolute favorites. They're one of my favorite artists. I have a print from them hanging up in my house. Just beautiful illustrations and also just really beautiful writing. I'm mainly recommending this if you have a hard time during this time of year, during the winter, if you struggle with like seasonal depression stuff. So does the main character in this book, and I feel like it just kind of is relatable. It might help you feel not so alone during this time of year. Also, if you're an artist in any way, shape, or form, you'll probably relate to this as it talks a lot about like creativity and having creative block. This is the perfect thing to pick up if you just want something beautiful and hopeful and quick to read. I have another graphic novel next. This is Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. I honestly could recommend this series like for any time of year, but in volume 1 in particular, there's a really cute scene with snow, and that is the main reason that I'm recommending it. I don't think I need to say what this is about because I feel like everybody knows, but it's one of my all-time favorite books and I love these characters so much. Next is One by One by Ruth Ware. This one is set at a luxurious rustic ski chalet high in the French Alps, and you follow the workers there that get snowed in with a tech company who's doing a company retreat there. It says, as each hour passes without any sign of rescue, panic mounts, the chalet grows colder, and the group dwindles further, one by one. So there's a murderer amongst all of them. I love isolated thrillers, and this is one of my favorites by Ruth Ware. All right, and then my second to last book is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I feel like this is like a Christmas time staple, both the book and the movies. This one follows 4 sisters set during the Civil War. They live at home with their mom. Their dad is currently serving in the army. They have some neighbors that they become really close with, but you just get to see this cozy family go through a lot. You get to see them grow. There's a portion of this book that is set during Christmas. This book will make you so happy, but it will also make you sob. I love this, and it's an all-time favorite book of mine. And then my last book on this recommendations list is No Exit by Taylor Adams. This is another wintry thriller. This one is about the main character who's a college student named Darby, and she's on her way home for the holidays, and she gets stuck in a really bad snowstorm. So she has to pull over into this truck stop and just kind of like wait out the blizzard with the strangers that are in there. So they're kind of like all getting to know each other, and she tries to go and get cell reception out in the parking lot. While she's out there, she realizes that there is a kidnapped child in the back of one of these people's cars. So she's trying to help this child and also figure out which one of them in this pit stop is a kidnapper. This book made me so anxious because the stakes feel very high. It was really intense, but it was super entertaining. So if you're more into like the thrillers and stuff rather than like the romance books during this time of year, this is a really good one to pick up. Those were all of my winter and holiday book recommendations. If you made it this far in the video, leave a snowflake emoji in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.
Appalachian sunrise.